Let's get right into it. Number 5. Longest wakefulness. Imagine bragging rights that come with eye bags so deep they qualify as geological formations. For a while, people tried to see how long a human could stay awake without sleeping. Not a nap here and there, not micro-sleeps, but full-on, eyeballs propped open, coffee of drip levels of awake. And yes, it was officially a world record, because apparently, at some point, humanity looked at sleep deprivation, a thing doctors warn you about constantly, and said, but what if we made it competitive? At first it sounded harmless. You just don't sleep. Easy. College students do that accidentally every finals week. But after a few days, your brain starts acting like it's running on corrupted software. You stop thinking in straight lines, your emotions swing wildly. You feel invincible, then deeply sad, then weirdly spiritual, then convinced your wall fan is whispering secrets about the universe. The science part is where things get uncomfortable. Sleep isn't just rest, it's maintenance. Your brain uses it to clear metabolic waste, rebalance neurotransmitters, and basically hit the reset button on reality. Without it, your nervous system starts misfiring, reaction times tank, hallucinations show up uninvited, your immune system clocks out early, and your heart does not enjoy being dragged into this mess. Some record attempts ended with severe psychological breakdowns, long-term cognitive damage, and, in extreme cases, death, either directly from complications or indirectly from accidents caused by a brain that had fully checked out. After enough participants started unraveling like cheap headphones in a pocket, record keepers quietly decided this was a bad vibe. So they stopped tracking it. No more certificates, no more leaderboards, no more applause for turning your brain into soup. Because the takeaway wasn't impressive, it was just a very clear reminder that your body is not a phone you can keep running at 1% forever. Eventually, it shuts down, sometimes dramatically. Basically, the record proved one thing: sleep always wins, and it does not negotiate. Number 4. Deepest free dive. There's something about deep water that flips a switch in the human brain. It's quiet, it's heavy, it feels important. And for some people, that translates into, I bet I can go farther down than anyone else without oxygen. Welcome to competitive freediving, where the prize is bragging rights and the entry fee is flirting with physics. Freediving records used to be about who could descend the deepest on a single breath. No tanks, no backup air, just lungs, pressure, and confidence bordering on delusion. On paper it sounds almost poetic. In reality, it's your body being slowly crushed by water while your brain argues that everything is totally fine. Here's the problem. Pressure increases fast. Every few meters down, your chest compresses, your blood shifts, and oxygen becomes harder to manage. Your body has tricks, like slowing your heart rate, but those tricks have limits. Push past them, and you get hypoxic blackout. That's when your brain, deprived of oxygen, simply turns the lights off. No warning, no drama, just gone. And underwater, gone is a big problem. As divers chased deeper numbers, accidents stacked up. People surfaced unconscious, some never surfaced at all. Rescue teams couldn't always reach them in time. And unlike a sprint gone wrong or a failed lift, there was no margin for error. One mistake meant silence. Eventually, record organizations realized something important. Tracking deepest encouraged people to push past survivable limits. So they pulled the plug, they changed categories, added safety rules, or stopped recognizing certain records altogether. Not because diving isn't impressive, but because turning it into a numbers game was getting people killed. The ocean doesn't care about your personal best. It doesn't clap. It doesn't notice. It just applies pressure, calmly and consistently, until your body loses the argument. And once that became impossible to ignore, this record quietly sank to the bottom, never to be officially measured again. Number 3. Fastest time on Everest. At some point, climbing Mount Everest stopped being about survival and started being about speed. Not, can you get up and down alive, but how fast can you do it before your body notices it's dying? And yes, that became a world record people chased. Because nothing says good idea like sprinting through an environment that actively wants you dead. Everest is already a nightmare. The air has about a third of the oxygen your body expects. Every step feels like breathing through a straw while wearing a backpack full of regret. Your brain gets foggy, your muscles weaken, your judgment goes on vacation. Now add speed to that. Suddenly, climbers are skipping acclimatization, pushing past warning signs, and treating hypoxia like a motivational quote. The psychology here is brutal. When something becomes a record, it becomes a target. People stop listening to their bodies and start listening to numbers. Altitude sickness doesn't care about your stopwatch. Cerebral edema doesn't care about your sponsors. And frostbite definitely doesn't care that you're almost there. As speed attempts increased, so did deaths. Climbers collapsed from exhaustion. Some made it up fast and never made it down. Others pushed through hallucinations, confusion, and sheer physical breakdown because turning around felt like failure. The mountain, meanwhile, stayed exactly the same, cold, tall, and unimpressed. Eventually, record-keeping organizations stepped back. Tracking speed records on Everest wasn't inspiring. It was encouraging reckless behavior in a place where rescue is slow, limited, and sometimes impossible. so certain speed records stopped being officially recognized or promoted. Everest doesn't reward urgency, it punishes it. And once people realized that timing yourself in the death zone was basically turning survival into a race, the stopwatch lost its authority. The mountain remains. The record? Not so much. Number 2. Heaviest weight lifted by a human. For a while, humans were obsessed with proving just how much weight one body could lift. Not safely, not sustainably, just more. More iron, more plates, more strain. Early strength records blurred the line between athletic achievement and anatomical sabotage. Some lifters weren't lifting weights so much as briefly convincing gravity to look the other way. Back then, rules were loose. Technique standards were vague. Support gear ranged from helpful to basically structural reinforcement, and medical understanding of spinal compression injuries was optimistic. Here's the reality. Your bones, tendons, and connective tissue are strong, but they're not invincible. When you push past safe loads, micro tears become macro disasters. Discs herniate, blood pressure spikes dangerously, blood vessels can rupture, people have blacked out mid-lift, crushed themselves, or suffered lifelong injuries chasing numbers that looked great on paper. As records escalated, so did catastrophic failures, collapses, paralyzing injuries, deaths caused by internal bleeding or cardiovascular events. The body simply wasn't designed for that level of stress, no matter how motivated the human inside it felt. Eventually, record organizations tightened rules or stopped recognizing extreme categories altogether. They shifted focus to standardized lifts, weight classes, and safety protocols, because without limits, the sport wasn't testing strength, it was testing how much damage a body could absorb before breaking. Turns out, gravity always wins. You can negotiate with it, train against it, and occasionally surprise it. But trying to embarrass it publicly with a world record? That's how you end up as a cautionary tale. Number 1. Human cannonball distance. There was a time when being fired out of a cannon was not just a circus stunt, it was a measurable achievement. Distance, height, hang time. People actually tried to break records by launching themselves through the air using explosive force and vibes, and yes, this was officially tracked. Because apparently someone saw gunpowder and thought, what if I put Dave in it? Human cannonballs rely on a delicate illusion. It's basically physics treating your organs like loose change in a dryer. Early on, performers pushed farther and farther. Longer launches meant more pressure. More pressure meant less room for error. A slightly wrong angle? You miss the net. A timing issue? You land awkwardly. A mechanical failure? That's not a blooper, that's a fatal incident. People suffered broken spines, crushed ribs, internal bleeding, and traumatic brain injuries. Some died instantly. Others survived just long enough to make everyone deeply uncomfortable about why this was ever considered entertainment, let alone competitive. The psychology behind it is classic human nonsense. When applause and records are involved, danger starts to feel optional. Your brain reframes risk as bravery, pain as proof, survival as a bonus feature. And because each new record raised the bar, performers felt pressure to outdo the last one, even when the math stopped mathing. Eventually, record organizations stepped in and quietly erased the category. No more longest launch, no more highest arc. No more pretending that turning a person into a projectile was a reasonable metric of human achievement. Because at the end of the day, the lesson wasn't impressive, it was obvious. Humans are not ammunition, and when your world record requires a net, a prayer, and a medical team on standby, maybe it's time to stop counting. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.